I really thought my last video was going to make sense of the word Christos and demonstrating that it is absolutely a drug term. But it seems that that did not happen. So here is the what do you call it? The thumbnail and the first slide for that last video. So you can see here we have an oiling, a perfuming, and a drugging. The drugging involves the Christos medicated salve. These are not medicated. So for perspective, if we go into the Perseus LSJ, which is the best online source for the most respected Greek English lexicon available, and we can see that here we have the word Chrio, and this is olive oil. So this is after bathing, we rub oil on our skin. So the use of the word Chrio here would be no difference than using the word alepsai here. They just didn't use Chrio, they used alepsai instead in the Bible. So if we compare Chrio to enkrisai and epikrisen, we see they're totally different. This Chrio just means to rub oil on. Enkrisai, epikrisen referred to the rubbing in of a medicated salve called a Christos, or a smearing on of a medicated salve called a Christos. Why they struggle with this, I don't get, although I think it's mostly because of their Christian brain damage syndrome that they suffer from. They really don't understand the Bible. They should seriously watch these videos. And even though I use this language, it is functional. They could free themselves if they choose to. So let's go back to July 24 of 2024. This is, and I'm not sure how far back Hillman presented you can see the root Chrio right here. This was back on July 24th. So Hillman showing the verb Chrio, which means to do what? Touch the surface of a body with oils, unguents, poisons, color, dyes, or sting of the gadfly. A surface application is all that Chrio means. Nowhere does it say anywhere that Chrio means to apply drugs to your eyes so that you may see. Now that's what it says in Revelation 3:18, but that is not what Chrio means. And this came from Wes Huff, and I'll show you that in a couple of seconds. So this was July 24th. Earlier, and again, I'm not sure if Chrio was presented earlier, but this is earlier with Hillman on May 24th, showing us the Greek pharmakon. And right here you can see, where is it? This is Euripides, Hippolytus, where the pharmakon, Christon, is used as an aphrodisiac so that Phaedra can get laid. So here he again, I'm just making it clear, he's showing the ancient Greek pharmakon, May of 2024, so you're talking 18 months ago. Cleopatra, and this one here, Strabo, where you see the epikriston, this is how Cleopatra suicided herself by a poisonous Christing. So, the word Christ or Christing, one guy argued, it's just a made-up word. Well, perfuming is a made-up word too, but nobody gives a shit about perfuming, right? When someone said, let's go oil, did you oil yourself? Did you get oiling? No one cares about that. So, Christing just means the application of a drug, like enkriston or epikriston. Okay, so this is Hillman back May 2024. This is Wes Huff. So this is December 6th. What was this here? 7 months later. 7 months later, Hillman clearly demonstrates the difference between Chrio and Christos. So we're going to clean this up a little bit, make some room. This was on the Julian Dorian podcast, where he said this ridiculous thing right here. So what I just pointed to, this arrow, is this language from Wes, just blown up. This is exactly what he says. So in the Bible documents, Christ has a very specific meaning and application. Oh, really? That doesn't mean, now this is what West says, that doesn't mean that Chrio does not mean applying a drug to your eyes that you may see. That's not what anybody is saying. Well, they should be saying that because that's bullshit. So here's Huff again. I don't think anybody who reads classical Greek would say that that's not true. It's just that it means it's just that that's what it means in a very specific instance. Well, in actual fact, it has no bearing. Chrio has nothing to do with applying a drug to your eyes. Chrio is simply a surface application, as I showed previously. So Chrio neither refers to Jesus Christ or to applying a drug to your eyes so that you may see. This could really be called Wes Huff's cult of Chrio, because the dude has no idea what the friggin' word means. It's unbelievable. So this was a response to that last video, which kind of prompted me to do this video to make it more clear. And you can say, dude, you say Christing is always a drug, and so does and Christing, made up words, so use them like that, refers to sources that include the verb root, chrio, which does not always mean drugs. It never means drugs. It never, chrio never means drugs. Can you see how out of it this guy is? They are clueless, these people. They're literally clueless. And he went crazy on Hillman's Reddit. I never signed into Reddit. I just occasionally just go over and check it out. So this is what the guy does. I'm calling you out. This is probably a month ago. I'm calling you out, Seaman. Herodotus is a source where the verb chrio is used for dyeing clothes. There's no drugs, no murex, no nothing. Deal with it. Never cared. Completely irrelevant. Irrelevant. Chrio only means a surface application. Now, I don't understand why these creatures can't figure this out. I think it's because they're scapegoat Christians and they actually believe that they're going to hell unless, they do the made-up Jesus story. And Jesus himself said you're never going to get to heaven unless you do Matthew 18:3 and on your own become guileless like a child. And this guy clearly is not that guy. Okay, so this is just for the same dude. Right, this is me back January 6th, 2025. So what's it now? That's like, 9 months ago? Right, is that 9 months ago? Yeah, finished 9 months ago now. We're right into October. So you can see what I did 9 months ago. This was one of my first 3 videos that I dropped where I specifically and clearly demonstrated that Chrio is different from Christon and the applications. And I also showed how it lines up with the Bible. So this is going on, we're in the 10th month now. So this has never been, like the issue that this guy has brought up, it's not even an issue. It's an issue in his confused mind, as with all these other fake scholars, like this guy. So he doesn't understand the difference between Chrio and Christos, Christon. So this is from the Perseus LSJ. Now look what he says. Again, the verb root chrio does not always mean drugs. Well, it never means drugs. It means to touch the surface with scented unguents, to poison your arrow, or to infect something with a poison like your arrow. Here, poison one's arrow. To rub with color, to dye, to smear the bodies, to wound the surface. That is what chrio means. It has nothing to do with drugs. It never means drugs. So you can see, actually write this out means this dude has been clueless all along. And I think I might have read where he said he went through the entire, he's spent 3 years studying the Greek with that Greek book that Hillman recommends, and he still doesn't understand this. That just shows you the power of zogron. 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 Nun anthropos. How do you say it? Nun anthropos. Something zogron. From now on, you'll be zogrond. So this dude is zogrond, clearly. So this is the video. Now again, this is a video that I did to show him. I mean, I can't believe that Bart Ammer doesn't know the difference between Chrio and Christos. So this is a close-up look at. So here you can see again. So this is the, if you go into the Perseus LSJ, you'll see this is the middle Liddell abbreviated description of the broader LSJ, which is this same word, chrio, right? Just lots of information, less information. But look, 1, 2, 3, Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, Roman numeral 1, 2, 3. So we're looking here at chrio, Come on, Bart. Chrio. It's not Christon. How do you get to Christon? The drug. You got to go to the pharmacon. You got to go to the pharmacon. So that's where we're going next. See, this guy doesn't understand this. Nowhere doesn't mean anywhere that Chrio remotely means drugs. This guy says, again, it does not always mean drugs. It never means drugs. Ever does Chrio mean drugs. It never does. So this is going to the pharmacon. So what do? We click on the pharmacon and we go to the pharmacon. What do we see here? Check it out, Bart. Christon and the applications. Enkriston, epikriston. And again here, was it epi? No, so the epikriston was from Strabo. And this is where Cleopatra kills herself with a poisonous Christing. Yeah, so yeah, you got to deal with that, dude. That is the real situation that you are clueless about. So if we click on Christon, Enkriston, epikriston, we get this. You can see Christos comes from Chrio. Totally separate. This is to apply something to the surface of the skin. And in this case, Christos is that thing to be applied. It is a medicated salve to be rubbed on. Well, how would it be rubbed on? It's not specific because this functions as a noun. This is the action of rubbing in the Christ. Rubbing it in or smearing it on. So the Christos is to be rubbed on. Well, how? It can be rubbed in specifically, as if you're a physical therapist, massage therapist, or chiropractor using your thumb to work on a trigger point, for example. That would be enchrysting. Versus smearing on some Bengay, like after, or whatever ointment you use, cooling ointment after, or ointment or spray after physical activity where there might be some injury or strain. So this is very obvious and very clear. This is pure drug world. You can see pharmacon. So Christos always means a drug. And here are the drug applications. This guy does not have a clue as to what he is talking about. And it's really sad for these guys. Really, really sad, So how else can we look at modern Christing applications or Christing applications in the modern day? So for hemorrhoids, Christ your anus with preparation H. For muscle pain, Christ your muscles with medicated Bengay. For eczema, Christ your skin with cortisone. These are all creams with drugs, or in the case of Prep H, more like a salve. So for minor, that's kind of funny because Prep H is really a salve, unlike a cream. So this is the closest thing to a Christos because you can see here, it's a salve. It is a salve. Okay, so for eczema, cortisone Christing. For minor skin infections, Christ your skin with Neosporin. How about for athlete's foot? Christ your feet with an antifungal cream. And for jock itch, Christ your crotch with an antifungal cream. That is what the word meant 2,000 years ago, and it's what the word means today. It has been appropriated, co-opted, and, well, really, that's the best word for it. It has nothing to do with what Christians think it means. And you can see they don't even know the difference between the root and when the root is used to create a noun, which is a thing, right? Christos is a salve. It's a thing that you rub in or rub on. You can enkristos it, enchrist it, rub it in. Epichrist it, smear it on. Really simple. So for your crotch rot, you would what? You would epikristos your, what's the famous, I can't think of a jock itch cream, but that's what you would do, right? All these here involve now for if you were to put a little Prep H salve on your finger and shove it up the poop hole, that would be like a gentle enchrysting, right? The rest of this would all be basically epichristings. It's very simple, very uncomplicated. And here is Cleopatra, and this is right from Strabo. She killed herself with either one or both the sting of an aspidos, so a viper, an asp, or a pharmakon epikristo. So what does that mean? Pharmakon epikristo, which is exactly like this. She smeared on the poisonous Christing, and that killed her. Here is the word. So Christ can kill, because Christ is not a dude. Christ is either a title, like pharmakos Christos, or Christ is a drug, and it has always been that way. Chrio, on the other hand, has never meant a drug, like this poor guy does not understand. Very sad. That is why I think these characters really need to take this Christian brain damage syndrome stuff seriously, because they're really kind of missing the point on many, many key things. Now, so for those of you who like these videos, I'm kind of getting bored doing this, because this is like, they can't figure out the difference between two words. So I'm going to take this into the direction that I was doing with the Vedanta stuff. And this is an interesting article. And I'm doing this at the end of the video because most people who don't like me are already gone. So this is for you people who listen all the way. This is a document that was released by the CIA or the Army in 2003. It looks like CIA, 2003. See right here. Approved for release 2003. CIA, Department of Army, June 1983. On what? The gateway process. The gateway process. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to look at this gateway process. My suggestion is, I'm not going to explain any of this. My suggestion is to just go online and put in gateway and gateway process and Department of Army and get this document. It shows up readily. You need to make sure it's the right document. You can see what it is. And then read it, and read it in the context of how I added. Now, what did I add to this whole gateway idea? I added Vedanta. I added one of the greatest, Erwin Schrödinger, after his lectures, after describing his second equation, he stated Atman equals Brahman. So you can see here we got the quantum entanglement, we got the ion, we got the Greek mythology, we've got the Bible, we got Jung's shadow, we got Vedantic concepts. We have Raja Yoga, Vedanta, NDEs, which are very different. We've got the gateway process, and we've got Bible language, Uronos, right? Ion, and then Idios. So I'm going to be applying the various religious, what's the best word for that? I'm not really sure the best word for this, but religion-related concepts to the quantum entanglement as time goes on. So I've been spending a bunch of time working through this stuff and reading all this, reading a lot of this information. So this is what's coming in the future for those who've listened this far.